Hey, it's prime. We're 3 balls in, then we 3 balls out. We all up on your screens like it's prime time's route. Mighty gets a scoring. Oh, and PJ start to scout. Your rhymes really trash. What do you think he's damn fouls? TBI the show, so buckle down, sit back. And Jay we trust, cause he's the leader of the pack. It's prime, Jupiter.
This is TBI 3 balls in alongside Logan and Davo. This is PJ's. We're back on Zoom. I know we went back to the past. If you notice in our backgrounds, it kind of reminds you of the progression of TBI. We started on Zoom and we're now back on Zoom in season 3. But boys, it's good to see you. Good to talk Jew ball with you. We're a week away, week past the Hanukkah party. We're back at it again. Let's talk about the Hanukkah party right away. What was your highlights?
Well, I'll start. I'm wearing my highlight. I thought this was highlighted for me. I don't think I could emphasize enough how amazing the gift that Tom got for, not for Yaron, but how great the overall reaction of the room was, how convinced we all were that it was for Yaron. I thought that was a great night. The band was spectacular. I know like the audio sucked, but like just seeing them get together, and I can't imagine they've had many practices and be able to rock like that. I thought that was freaking awesome. And then, lastly, like just having everyone together, having a cold brew together, like that's just great. I think the more we do it, right? This was the 3rd year we did it. I think the attendance from the wives goes down. Totally get that, right? Like there's a lot of inside jokes. There's a lot of Jew ball stuff going, Jew ball related stuff going on. But one way or the other, great event, great, just a really great night. And like I said, a really great time getting together with the guys off the field, having a cold one, and just enjoying each other's company.
Yeah, I mean, we had about as much practice as some of these new quarterbacks have been playing this week. Big 0. But it was a great time. It was a great jam. We just put it together. Big shout out to Week League. Not to be confused with Weeks, which is happening this Sunday. But it was a great time. I like to think that the Hanukkah party is the best part for the rooks. Because I feel like it's like the rooks coming out of their shell. They show up to draft night, but they don't know everybody yet. They don't understand what it is. By Hanukkah, they're all coming out, and they're all like, wow, we're already here. We're already part of Jew ball. This is amazing. And I think it was just a great time. And anyone who missed sucks. So. Sucks for them.
Yeah, obviously not spending a lot of time there, unfortunately, this year, organizing and basically running another Hanukkah party at the same time. Not the Hatzalah one with, obviously, with Bert.
Oh, I forgot you were there, PJ's. My bad. You showed up for a second, so that counts.
He did show up.
PJ's. But I guess second PJ's.
I was there for a solid 20 to 25 minutes, but got to see everybody, which is the most important part. But I think the coolest part for me was actually around like 11:30 that night when I got a text from Mike, who was like, dude, I love your gift. And I was like giving him kind of the background to the gift. And like, he was like, everybody looked at me like I was crazy because I was excited for it. He's like, I thought I was getting hazed, but I'm like, Mike, you kind of were still being hazed.
Right.
But either way, he's the kid. The kid got himself a remote control car, so he deserved it. But overall, like I think you said, Logan, before, right? That's why we do what we do. It's one of the things you explain to people, Jew ball, outside of Jew ball, they just don't get this, right? Like, we play football on Sundays, but then the day we're a community, we're a bunch of friends getting together, hanging out. Whatever happens on Sundays, for the most part, Monday morning, we've all forgotten it after, hours and hours of arguing and chatting and all the stuff. But at the end of the day, we are a community of Jew ballers who really care about one another and can have a good time together as well. So congrats to Week League for their debut, and hopefully it's not a one-time thing. So there you go. We're going to jump into this past Sunday. Logan, you played. I played. I did the early game. You did the late game. Davo, what happened to you on Sunday?
Listen, sometimes, after long weeks, you gotta give back to the wives. I got to take some Sundays off.
Well, speaking of the wives, big shout out to O. Once again, Jew Ball Man of the Year last year. I think he's trying to get it this year as well. Wow. It's just what he does. He's the front runner right now for 23, 24 years. So
you think he'll go back to back?
I think he'll go back to back, belly to belly. I don't see why not. All right, let's see. All right, let's jump on to something. Sunday was a game, early game. What's wrong with Prey? Oh, I know what's wrong. He had the flu. So
Yeah,
unlike Michael Jordan, who played amazing during the flu game, he's human, right? He's not
I mean,
Bosch.
he's also, one second, he's human, and he's also not getting the same treatment that professional athletes get, right? Like, he's not getting
Right.
constant IVs. He's not getting, you know what I mean? Like, you get,
Right.
he just had the flu.
Right.
So, you know,
So,
it's apples and cars.
but at the end of the day, right? Like he didn't have a great game. You know, it was a tough game. He threw a pick six to Tom. And the story of the game was Tom, right? That's what it comes down to. You know, as much as you had Zinn and Mighty and Gronk on the same side, it was really Tom. It was Tom's day. He had a pick six on a ball that was thrown behind the receiver. He had
In our game, he had a pick that he almost took to the house.
Oh, right, that's true. But I'm talking about game one though, and then
I know, but I'm saying like his whole day was a complete day.
And then he catches like a really nice touchdown in the back of the end zone, like a high pass, and of course his side he's able to make it wide open for another touchdown. So the guy was all over it on the field. But I'll say probably this won't get recognized, but Gronk threw a ball to him that I played really well on, and I almost had a pick six, and Tom just knocked the ball out of my hands. Like, it's not just the offensive prowess and the defensive prowess, but even on offense, he plays defense. Like, that's how money he was. So it was definitely Tom's day. I think, again, without that we give out the Jew ball, but if there's anyone who's deserving of game 1A, it was definitely Tom. And then in game 1B, which neither one of us played in, but of course, just being on the other side of the field, obviously hoping that Iceman gets better. Obviously, his ankle is something we could talk about later on when we talk about the games for this week. But Iceman goes down a little early in that game. Dax just didn't have it. Just didn't seem to have it in this game. Miles tough to Dax. His wife had a baby girl this week, so maybe the baby was on his mind. Who knows? But at the end of the day, Yaron looked good, and this might be the best Yaron has looked all season. So maybe the right time that it all comes together. Logan, talk about game 2 and how he played in that one.
Look, he played well. We went up early. I think it was 1-0. Might have been. I don't think we got to 2-0, but one way or the other, we were up 2-1, and then from there he scored 3 straight. Great passes, great reads. He did have that pick to Tom, but quite frankly, if I remember correctly, that ball bounced off of someone, so it wasn't really even on Yaron. So he played great, and like I said, he put up 4 touchdowns. He put up the win. He also played great D. I think he might have even had a pick on defense. I could be wrong about that, but he played great defense. Yaron's just, he's doing everything that he needs to do to win, and I don't know that you could ask more from a quarterback, right? Like, he's reading the field well. He's distributing the ball. I think he had 4 touchdowns he threw were to all different receivers. I don't remember that someone had more than one. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing winning things. So, what else is, that is what it is. That's what he's doing. And that's why, he's playing out of his mind, or he's playing above what we're used to seeing. He's, averaging over 2 touchdowns a game. Like I said, 4 in our game. I think he had more than at least 4 in your game. His stats are ridiculous this past week, and he's playing well. Good for him. Congrats, kudos to your own.
And I think the biggest thing is like his scrambling ability, right? I don't think that's something we really talk about when it comes to him, but that was something that was noted in both those games, that Yaron was able to get away from the pressure. And I think that if he's right healthy wise, like his health is right, and he's able to move, he makes not only does he have this dynamic arm, but it makes him a dual threat. And that's something we have not thought of Yaron. So if that's a part of his arsenal, and that's going to be part of his game, that's going to be something to be concerned about if you're going against him. Boys, let's move into now week number 3. And we got some big matchups. Logan, why don't you take us into the first matchup?
And we'll talk about is going to be Dogs Crocs. And what we're going to do the same thing we do every week. We're going to look at quarterbacks, we're going to look at the line, and then we're going to look at wide receivers and corners. Looking at the quarterbacks, this was originally set up to be like 2 polar opposites, right? One of them is tall, one of them is short. One of them is a righty, one of them is a lefty. One of them is skinny, one of them is less skinny. One of them is mobile, one of them is also less mobile. But like right now, it now has turned into a big unknown versus Snow. And if you look at it, Snow has consistently put up 4 touchdowns in every game that he's so far. I think he's got 4 on the season. So he's got 16 touchdowns. He's averaging 4 a game, which is pretty good. And we're seeing that he's playing better and better every week that he plays. If you take out week 1 of leagues where obviously he did not have his best game, if you take that one game out, and again, I know it's a small sample size, he's at an average of 2 TDs to 1 pick, and that's actually pretty good production when we look at our standard quarterbacks of Prey and Dax and your own. So like he's playing better. His team is gelling better. He's getting to understand, his team, right? Like week 1, there were guys on his team he didn't even know their name. Now he's starting to understand his players. He's understanding the defense. I can't say it any other way. There's a guy I don't know, and then there's a guy who's been playing better every week. I think you got to give the advantage to the Crocs here with Snow. Jumping into the line here. So we got Legs and Big O versus Kut, Dobbs, and Sam. Even if I run the risk of sounding like a broken record, the things that Legs is currently doing in our game, and I don't just mean standard stuff, on D-line, on tight end, and even as wide receiver 1 are remarkable. And the one piece of the narrative that I think we have to change is I want to take this notion out of our vocabulary. I want us to stop saying that he's playing out of his mind. I think he's just playing I think we just have to start accepting the fact that this is the level that Legs plays in, and this is not him playing above his level. This is just his level. He's turned himself into a premier lineman, even a premier wide receiver. He's playing phenomenal. And, I think he's just we should just call it Legs level as opposed to anything else. This is just what he's doing. And I quite frankly see Legs being a huge problem for the line and for Snow. So I'm going to give the advantage to the Dogs in this one. And then lastly, this is what everyone has really signed up for. The wide receiver matchups. You've got Mighty, Ross, Steve-O, and Blitz going up against Zin, Rook, BK, and Veg. Look, we've been waiting for these two to come against each other. And look, both teams have real depth and really great receivers, but the reality is that there's going to be 2 thoroughbreds that we're going to be looking at this week. This is the Mighty Zin matchup. This is the matchup we've all wanted. This is the matchup we wish we could get, and this is what we've asked for. These are the 2 guys we'll be watching on Sunday. Right now, Mighty's at 15 touchdowns, and in 9 games, and then Zin's at 11 touchdowns in 7 games. Basically, they're at 1.67, 1.57 per game. More than a touchdown a game, more than 1.5 touchdowns a game. That's ridiculous. And then if you look at them on defense, Mighty in 9 games has 7 picks, with 3 of them being pick sixes, and Zin in 7 games has 5 picks. Again, both guys playing ridiculous ball. Right in the beginning, we might have said, what's wrong with Zin? Or he's back. He's doing the Zin things. He's doing the things we're used to. Look, it's real tough, but this is the year of the rat. So I'm going to have to give the advantage to the Dogs here. As far as my prediction for the entire game, I really think the D-line, as I had mentioned, plays a really big role for the Dogs here. I think they do make this one a tough one for Snow. I think this is the first game where he does not throw 4 touchdowns. I think he throws less. However, I do think that the Dogs may struggle to put up points. A quarterback who doesn't really know our game, doesn't really know our guys, he's not going to be in sync with the wide receivers. Definitely nowhere near on the level that Dax would be. So I do think that the Dogs struggle to put up points. Like I said, Snow's not going to throw his standard 4 touchdowns. I see the Crocs winning this one 3-1.
I think you missed something. I think there's a lot of people are really sleeping on. Is the big matchup is not necessarily Zin versus Mighty. That's the one that everyone's going to be looking at. The big matchup is going to be BK versus Mighty. Because remember, the first ever league game, that BK was the rat killer. And I'm telling you now, it's going to be a battle between them. Now, it's not a question if you can stop him, if you can slow him down.
Davo, that game, Mighty still put up 2 touchdowns. They ended up losing 3-2, but Mighty still scored 2 touchdowns. Just to put that out there.
That's what I'm saying. It's not about if you could stop him, because no one can really stop Mighty. Just like you can't stop Zid. It's if you can slow them down and how much you can slow them down. Now, I broke my games down a little bit differently than you because, you give one side of the analysis. But when I was putting together my analysis, I essentially looked at 6 categories: physicality, cohesion, flag grabbing, line, play, speed, and secondary. So when it came down to this game, I looked at it like this. The Crocs have the better cohesion. As a team, obviously 2 games already in, but they also have the same quarterback. The Dogs are playing with a guy we don't know if he can play. Everyone said he was great, but he was great 6-8 years ago. It's a long time. cannot play football, so we don't know how he does. The secondary, I think you have to give that to the Crocs. Zinn, BK, Rook, Veg. I think they just have slighter, that one little bit extra up on them. Speed also. You're talking about BK, Rook, and Zinn are probably three of the top 5 fastest guys in the league. Obviously, Steve-O is fast, but that's one of the top fast guys on the other side. Physicality, you got to give it to the dogs. Between Bo and Legs and Mighty, that there's just the physicality that they'll need. And flag grabbing, I'll put that even. So when I looked at the categories, I saw a 3-2. I saw a team that has a quarterback that's playing with them. Crocs could be a dangerous team. I give them the victory. I'm going to say 4-2, 26-13 in favor of the Crocs.
26-13, is that like a 5-2? Or is it 4-2?
4-2, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take this a different route than you two. And that is, does the Crocs have anyone who can block Legs? And that's what it comes down to. Legs could matchup is going to be obviously something we're going to be looking at. And, the one thing I go back to with Snow is, most linemen, his line can block for him. But Legs in the level he's playing right now, he's playing like, I want to say he's playing solo level 2 years ago, where you hit 3, he's already at the quarterback. There is nobody stopping him. So
that's called blitzing.
That's without blitzing. I'm talking about 3, he's already in. That's how quick he is.
Hey, but you say blitzing? We getting in the Christmas spirit here?
And so
ho, ho, ho.
The beauty here is that I think Legs is the difference maker of this game. If he gets in consistently and causes problems for Snow, I think it's going to make a huge world difference, because the secondary of the Dogs can compete with any wide receiver core of any team in Jubal in this leagues. So you got Steve-O on the back end. You got a lot of talent. You got blitz, like you said. You got a lot of talent back there. I'm confident they can perform well defensively without Dax, who doesn't always play defense. The quarterback position is obviously going to be the concern, because Ken Yitzi Weeder, who's never played Jubal before, he's a great athlete, right? But can he compete and play with the way we play Jubal? The contact, the physicality. I think that's the question mark. I see this being a very, very low scoring game, but I'm going to go with the upset. I do think it's an upset. I think the Dogs upset the Crocs, and they win in a 13-6 win. I think the Crocs are going to have a hard time.
It's real short, 2-1. Real low scoring, yeah.
Real low scoring. I think it's going to be hard to put up points in this game. That's what I see it. All right, let's shift to the next game. Cronies versus the Lionhearts.
Yeah.
Logan, start us off.
Yeah, again, we'll go through it. So quarterbacks, you got Yaron versus Gronk. Yaron's having a ridiculous season. He's averaging just north of 2.5 touchdowns for every pick he throws. He's had like we said, he had a bounce back week this past week after losing league week number 2. Even with Gronk's elite defense, I still have to give the edge to Yaron here. He's playing phenomenal. So advantage Lionhearts for the quarterback. When we look at the line, so you've got Beast and Burt versus Open and Daxi, and as well as Beast and Burt are playing, it's hard to take any line over Open and Daxi. Every game Dax plays, he's learning a new technique here. He's learning a new trick, and quite frankly, there isn't really anyone better to coach him than Open, right? Open is a wily veteran, even though not in Jubal, but he's been playing however many years. He's got all the tricks of the trade. He knows how to block. He knows how to rush. I'm sure he's teaching Dax stuff every week. So I'm going to go with the advantage of the Cronies here with Open and Dax. And then lastly, when you look at wide receiver, you've got Dax, Jack, Fox, and Stats versus Storm, Zada, PJs, maybe Tommy. Who knows? At this point, I think Storm is still trying to get back to his MVP season, right? His form is not where it is. Currently, he's averaging a TD every other game, and I know that no one's harder on Storm than Storm is. So, he's doing what he can to get back to that form, but for whatever reason, he's not putting up the same type of numbers. And quite frankly, the Lionhearts core are putting up ridiculous numbers, those wide receivers. So, Yaron having his complete arsenal is going to be a tall task for any defensive backfield, but I got to give the advantage to the Lionhearts here. And, I think in terms of where I see the game, Yaron having his full team here, I think he rebounds from a week 2 loss, puts up another good game. I don't really think it ends up being all that close. I do see Lionhearts winning like a 4-2 game here.
Gave up.
Well, this is where we're going to differ here. Like I said, I break mine down into 6 categories. But let's just talk about the line for a second, right? You got the killer bees. Now, bees are good, but they're not great. Like, you have with what you have, but you can always be better. So I think the line play is going to be dominant. And Gronk's ability not to have to necessarily come in as a third rusher will give him that one extra semi-DB, semi-linebacker, safety position, because I think they'll get tremendous pressure. Again, I think cohesion, flag grabbing, line play, and physicality all goes to the cronies. They're starting to gel with each other. The first game was a rough game. They were missing people. Obviously, a lot of the team was hurt. It was a good win, even though the Cobras team wasn't necessarily fully up there. They got their players back. They got their core back. Now they know who's going to be playing for them mostly every week. And it was a good win. It was a good team chemistry building win. As far as Yaron's team, I still think he's figuring them out a little bit. Like I said last year, I really want to see them prove something to everybody. They have the speed. They have the better secondary. But when it comes down to it at the end, I think the line play is just too overwhelming for the Lionhearts. I'm going to go 4-3 victory for the Cronies, 26-19.
Listen, you've got 4 really top-tier receivers. You got 4 top-tier receivers with Dax and Jack, and then, of course, you got Fox and Stats. I mean, this is going to be, and their back-end defense is really good also, those 4. I mean, you're talking about a really, really good 4 defenders and 4 offensive players. It's going to be a challenge for the Cronies, but I think what you both have said it already, the line of the Cronies might be the most dynamic defensive line right now, but the tandem of Daxi and Open. And Open was a little banged up, I think, game 1, but you can see game 2. He was all over it. And, of course, I was able to help out a little bit as well. Here's the thing. If the Cronies get consistent pressure on Yaron, because Yaron is great at getting rid of the ball quickly, right? Like, that's the best quality is having, a guy like that who's a quarterback who can read the defense really well and just, zip it out of his arm. He's got the fastest fastball of all the quarterbacks, and he's accurate on it. So it's not even like, he's going to make a play with it. But if they can get quick pressure on him and they can close pressure, I think it's similar to what I said in the previous game, right? Pressure is all that matters. I think the Cronies will get that pressure. They're going to make it tough. And not take anything away from Beast and obviously Burt. But the line of Beast and Burt, they're going to have their problems. They're going to have their trouble. And I think that Gronk is such a difference maker in the back end of the defense with Storm. And again, if Tommy is there, that's a player that people have not seen enough of because he's only played in 1 game. But if Tommy plays like he did in that first game, this is going to cause a lot of problems for the receivers of the Lionhearts. So I'm going here with a victory for the Cronies. I'm going 34-24 in favor of the Cronies.
High scoring.
That's your own missing 4 extra points.
Be rightfully so. By the way, if Tommy does play and if he doesn't play, he has an equal chance of rising up on the power rankings.
Oh, he's going to be number 1, correct?
Especially if he doesn't play. But yeah, right. Even if he does play, he's got a chance of moving up.
All right, look, let's move into our last game. And that is
last game.
Birds of Prey.
Bops versus Cobras. So you got Prey versus Tom Brady here. So even in light of this past Sunday's games, performance, whatever you want to call it, there isn't a QB in Jubal that I would take over Prey. Never mind someone who's new to Jubal. And Spears bringing down an unknown. Even if he's like a Division II quarterback, I'd still take Prey. So I'm going to take Prey here for the advantage. Bob has the advantage at quarterback. When we look at the line, we've got DK and Davo versus Solo, Spiro, Whiskey, and Walls. We've said it last week, DK and Davo, they're a great line, but some of their weaknesses, i.e. Davo being a little bit undersized and DK being a little young, are the exact opposite and, plays into the strengths of the Cobra line, right? Those are big guys. Those are veteran guys. I do think that the Cobras do have an advantage on the line there. Sorry, Davo. So I will go advantage Cobras. And then wide receivers, you got Iceman, you got Prime, you got Ivry versus Goldberg, Sheriff, MK, and Mike. And quite frankly, as I was writing it down, I thought it was funny because I'm writing these names down and I'm thinking, wow, looking at these guys, Bop has the advantage, and I haven't even mentioned killers like Stella or Ernie or Fight. That's right, Fight. He can catch. So like the Bop's wide receiver core and secondary is, as we like to say, stacked. And when they're all healthy and all in New York, they're a formidable secondary and wide receiver room as we've ever seen in league. That's right, I'll say it. They have the best wide receiver secondary core that we've ever seen in league when they all show up. You got to show the advantage to Bop here. As far as the game goes, look, new QB is a bit, who knows, but slower Cobras team, unfortunately, for the Cobras, I don't really see this being a close one. Unfortunately for the Cobras, I do see them dropping to 0-3. I do see Bop rolling to 3-0 pretty easily. It's not going to be close for me. I think it's like a 6-1 victory for Bop.
Yeah, we have the Bop mascot. Listen, I'm not going to put a score on this game because I don't know what this Brady's guy is going to bring. He could bring a lot of good tangibles to this Cobras team. The Cobras team is a team of good players. I don't know if necessarily they're the best team that was put together, but just because you're not a good team doesn't mean you don't have good players. Speed goes to, we'll do my 6 categories. Speed, cohesion, secondary, flag grabbing, all go to Bop, as well as physicality is going to go to Bop. I think people underestimate the physicality that Bop brings between DK, Iceman, Ernie, Prime. Ivry's like the nicest physical guy that you'll ever meet. Like he'll roll you over and be like, "Hey, sorry about that, man." Listen, the line will give it to Cobras, but that worked well for us last week. Our last game also, as our line was better, but somehow we prevailed. I'm not going to put a score on it because, like I said, I can say 6-1, I can say 6-3, I can say 4-3. I don't know, but anything is possible. But I think Bop Boy comes away with a victory, and we have a first 3-0 team.
I think this is simple. It's Prey versus an unknown, 27-12, Bop. I think it's that simple. It's not taking anything away from anyone else on the field. It's just, Cobras are reeling, and they obviously don't have their quarterback and their leader. We don't know what Solo's guy can bring. Again, Solo's guy can come out there. He could, beat Tom Brady and throw 6 touchdowns. But I think I'll eat my crow for saying that. At the same time, I'm going to go with the Birds' crow and say that they are going to win. I think their team is just that good. Again, if healthy Prey, I know he lost 3 games this week, including Tuesday Night Football. But outside of that, Prey, if he's healthy and he's back and going, we're talking about a quarterback who's going to lead his team to victory. 27-12 is going to be the final score. And that's our league week. So there we go. League week 3 in the books. And we're ready to move on to Davo. What should they do?
There's no sign up this week. Tuesday Night Football already happened. We got Christmas Bowl coming up, Jesus Bowl. That'll be sign up after the games on Sunday. Don't forget to share and subscribe. Don't forget to support League. Don't forget to show up for your team even if you're not playing. Make sure to be there to root them on. And don't forget, what are we? 3 balls in.
Three balls in. And we are now 3
Is it the same as
balls out. Have a great week, everybody. Or I should say, have a great weekend, everybody.
The wives usually wait for the big O, but I guess it came early for them this year.
Well, no, it's said differently. The big O always comes through for the Wives, huh?
Yeah, he really does. So
I don't know about that. You hope so.